Hello, what about you? I'm Andy, and welcome to another episode of Scratch Building Basics, where I like to make cool stuff from junk you'd normally throw away. So if that's something you fancy, stick around. So, in my last video, I made a Mad Max vehicle, and I wanted to add a weapon arm and maybe some more exhausts. So that's the plan for this video, and of course show off some more of your builds. So to start, here's Johnny and Emerson's Mad Max build. So this was a challenge set by Emerson Ward on Instagram that myself and Johnny happily accepted. And you can see this is Emerson's build here, just brilliant. He worked a 28mm scale, which I think makes it even more of a challenge. He started with some Lego Technic wheels, and his other bits and pieces he used were just some lids, a few odd bits and pieces of plastic, some plastic tubes, I think they were from spray bottles, and then for his rivets he just cut those from some really thin styrene rods. So a really great job, Emerson. Really like this one, on the paint job's just brilliant. I love those skulls at the front, and it's cat approved, so nice one. So on to Johnny's build. He was a bit more like myself and didn't really worry about scale. So nice one, Johnny. At least I wasn't the only one. But just a kick-ass build. In my opinion, the finished pics of this look like a full-scale car. It doesn't look like a scale model. But yeah, Johnny's parts list includes a computer mouse chassis. That's what he started with, just an old computer mouse. And then he's got a spark plug in there. There's tire valves, electrical components, and there's a bullet cartridge and some loudspeaker parts. And that's probably not even half the parts list, but I think he used some of my model kit parts as well. So nicely done, Johnny. Really cool build. Alrighty, so I've got my build here, primed from the last episode, and you can see just to the side of the cab here, there's a wee space, just because on the original chassis, the cab was over to one side. So my plan is to build a wee platform to put some sort of weapon arm on. This was like a wee mock-up I made of it just for the last episode, and I've made my wee platform up here just from Lego. I got some cheap Lego in the pound shop. So I whittled it down with my knife just to make it look a bit less like Lego, and that's going to fit in there nicely, and the arm should just fit on top there. So that's the plan anyway, and you can see it just fits really well. But yeah, that's just cheap Lego from the pound shop. It was £1 a bag, so I bought a couple of bags, and just really looks like ordinary Lego, fits really well together, nice sharp edges. It was pretty tough to carve down with a knife and sand, so it is quite hard plastic. And I like how it's turned out, and the edges have roughed up nicely. And even though there's holes there, that's fine. And yeah, I mean, it's cheap Lego, but the only really way you could tell is from the figures. The minifigures are just slightly different, and the design's slightly different. That's probably how they got away with it. But you can see this guy's head; it's completely different from a Lego head. He doesn't look too happy, but that's probably because the top of his head's missing. But yeah, at £1 a bag, I can't really complain. And you can see the body design's just slightly different to Lego bodies, just pinched in at the waist there. But yeah, cheap Lego, nice one. Alrighty, so I've got some of my parts laid out here, and this is the sort of shape I want to go for. Just kind of a JCB arm with a flamethrower on the end of it. So I've cut myself a shell here just from a spoon, and then I've got an empty pen case here. It's going to make a good nozzle, and something like that. And then I'm going to take a piece of wire, just a piece of garden wire, and it's going to make some separate nozzles either side. And then to attach the arm to the platform, I've just cut the tip off another plastic spoon, and that's going to make like a pivot point for the arm. And then finally, just to cover up the bottom of the flamethrower here, I've cut like a rib cage from a hair curler, so that's going to fit up in there nicely. So while I'm getting all that glued up, here's a last minute Mad Max challenge entry from Crafty Ric. Rick got his hands on a die cast VW Bug, and just used that as his base, and really cool wee build. And he took inspiration from the woodlouse and just nailed it. Really good job, man. And he'll be posting a build video on his YouTube channel, so I'll leave a wee link for that in the description. So I've got my wee Lego platform all glued up ready to go, and I've just constructed a simple arm using my spoon handles. Just doubled up a couple of the spoon handles and then pinned a couple either side using my cotton bud sticks. And then I still have to build the flamethrower for the end of the arm, just using my empty pen case here. I'll use this wire just for some extra nozzles either side, and I'm not quite sure how long I want those yet, so I'll just leave them extra long for now, and then I can decide later. So while I'm getting all that glued up, here's a build from Retro Roboland. His channel's really worth checking out. His content's really good, and the videos are just really well made. And of course he always features cool channels like myself. So yeah, he'll be uploading a full build video on this on the 19th. So I'll leave a wee link for that in the description. And this is a lid bot build, but it's more of a steampunk mechanical organic machine. It's just brilliant. This was a Clarence bottle lid, a lipstick lid, a nasal spray lid, some cardboard and some other bits and pieces. So yeah, looking forward to seeing the build video for this. Nice one, dude. So I've got my flamethrower all glued up, ready to go. Still not sure about the extra nozzles. I'm going to sort those out in a wee second. But yeah, it's going to fit together nicely onto the arm. It's just going to slide up in there nicely. And I can just sort of set it at whatever angle I want, really. And then it should fit on there pretty good. Yep, everything's going to fit together nice. And then I've got some nozzle tips cut here just from some spray bottle tubing. It just fits really well over the garden wire. So I'm just going to slide those on there, something like that. I thought about leaving this wire long and maybe curling it into, you know, like those wee igniters on the end of flamethrowers. But I'm not too sure yet. Like I say, I'll decide as I go. So I just need to get this area prepped. I'll just scratch off some of the paint just to make sure the glue can stick to the plastic and not the paint. So while I'm doing that, this is a build from Law Creations. Very cool War of the Worlds inspired Mac Walker. And this is his first time scratch building. And just brilliant. That diorama base is awesome. And golf ball, styrene, and that's about the height of it. A few other bits and pieces. I'll leave a wee link there in the description for his YouTube channel. But great job, man. Nicely done. Alrighty, flamethrower done. Finally decided on what to do with the nozzles there. I just put one igniter on it. I figured it just needed one, and the rest will just be gushing gasoline. That's the idea anyway. I don't want to glue these together just yet because I want to set the angle when I get the arm glued onto its wee platform. So I'll just check everything's fitting together okay, and that's all going to look good. Just needs glued on. So I think it'd be a better idea before I do any more with that to get some exhausts on this bad boy. So I'll get the wheels taken off, and that means I can get just better access underneath. And I'll put those to one side. And there's plenty of room underneath there for 6 exhausts. I'm going to go for 6 because I've only got 2 exhausts on it, and there's 8 pistons there, so 6 left to go. So I'm just going to take some garden wire. This is just ordinary rubberized garden wire. And I'm going to poke it through some holes at the back here. I think it's just going to fit up in here. I'm really going to go for a porcupine look with these exhausts, so they're going to be quite long. I don't know if that's going to be a problem when it comes to painting, but I'll soon find out. But I just want to go ridiculous. Now that I've taken this far, I might as well just go big on the exhausts. So while I'm putting the rest of those on, it'll be a good time to thank my Patreon supporters. So thank you, David, Wes, Luke, Matt, Alice, Cavo, Maggie, and my newest supporter, Barry. So thanks very much, everyone. Really appreciate it. Alrighty, so I got all my exhausts on. I'm happy with those. That's the length I'm gonna go for. I had them a wee bit longer, but I trimmed them down a wee bit. I just bent them into place and hit them with a wee dab of glue just to make sure they're not gonna move. Now I'm just gonna bulk them out a wee bit with some exhaust tips. Just the same as before. Cut them from some spray bottle tubes. Just cut them at a bit of an angle and then cut a smaller tube, and the tubes fit inside each other real nicely. It all seems to work out well. So I'm going to put those on the end of the wire, something like that, and yeah, that's it, makes some good exhaust tips. And then taking advantage of the way the tubes fit inside each other, I made a couple of lamps for above the cab, and just cut again 3 small sections of the plastic tubing and just pushed one inside the other. And then I had some grill, it was our wire mesh from like a kitchen sieve, and I just cut a wee small piece of it and pushed it inside to give it a bit of a grill effect for the light. So yeah, really happy with those. Cutting the wire mesh into shape and getting it into place was a wee bit tricky, but it was definitely worth it. The effect I think is pretty cool. So I'll get all this glued on, and then I can go back and get my flamethrower sorted. Alrighty, so I got my lights attached and my exhaust tips sorted. I'm really happy with it, looking good. Some of that wire on the bottom there might be coming into contact with the back wheels, but I can bend that out of the way if I need to, it'll not be a problem. So I can move on now, get them weaponized, get this arm glued on. This wire, this is intended for going into the back of the flamethrower. So I'll just move that out of the way for now and just double check my fit. Just make sure everything is going to go together okay. And then when I'm happy, just going ahead with my glue and the good old baking powder, just to make sure that's a nice strong join. And then at the base here, just for some extra grip, I'm going to scratch it up with my knife and rub in some baking powder into the scratches, just because it's supporting all the weight there. And then I'll hit it with my spray activator, and that'll just make extra sure that it's going to get a good grip and that glue is going to go off instantly. And then for one last detail, the arm needs a piston, or well, an extra support anyway, and so I just made this from a cotton bud stick and a couple of bits of extra tubing. It'll just give the arm a wee bit of extra strength and make it look that wee bit more realistic. And that's him done, ready for primer, and get this all tied together. Looks a bit strange with the green exhausts. There we go, that's more like it, all tied together nicely. Looking really good. I'm really happy with this build, had loads of fun with it, and actually looking forward now to doing another vehicle build. So now I just need to get the wheels back on and take some glamour shots. So for now, back to me in the craft room. So there you have it. Now I just need to get it painted, so I'll get that done and uploaded in the next few days. So until then, thanks very much for watching, and as always, I hope this was helpful. Any questions or comments, you know where to go there, down below, work away, and remember, there are no stupid questions here. And thanks again to all my Patreon supporters, I really appreciate it. And if you want to help my channel, and of course get your name on the shelf, there's a link there in the description. So see you in the next one, bye!